Chancellor, Rani, Chennamma University. Sir, over to you, sir. Thank you.
But can be very short. Let me talk without PPT. Good afternoon, my co-speakers and learned audience. As we are all aware, because of the WTO, there is opening up of economy of the different countries throughout the world. Now we call world as a small village. So under these circumstances, the first question arises, does India need internalization of education? That way I am confined to higher education. I am trying to compare a developed country with a developing country like India on different parameters. So if we define in simple words what is internalization of education, it is exchange of teachers or students or the knowledge domain one country has on a particular subject with others is nothing but internalization. In this we try to have exchange of ideas in the area of teaching, research, even to some extent on the outreach activities. In order to have collaborations, even many of the funding agencies like European Union or maybe Bill and Gates Foundation, you take big foundations, they insist for multinational, multidiscipline, multi-institutional activities in research. They prefer to fund such projects where they have multinational collaborations. So now, India needs to follow this collaboration. And for this, what India needs to do is to have a conducive policy for internalization of higher education. So the policy, higher education policy, or the policy for educating the people or the students or faculty in terms of exchanges should be favorable and should be encouraging to the faculty and students. In this context, there is a dire need on the part of the universities and the education institutions to prepare our students so that they will have competence, the capabilities. For example, if anybody wants to go for higher education in US, the GRE is compulsory, TOEFL is compulsory for some universities to get fellowship. So do we prepare our students in these areas is a question mark. And a lot of responsibility lies on the teachers to prepare our students to have this competency of entering the foreign universities for gaining knowledge. And so far as the culture of the student is concerned, when we compare the students who are studying in US and students studying in India, our students are easygoing. Because I was in US and I had attended some of the seminars in Florida International University where the Professor Railroad comes from. I was there in Miami. I had attended a number of seminars of the students. You may not believe, I will tell you the topics, impact of honeybees on the economy. This was the topic. If you give this topic to an Indian student here, he will never come back to the institution because he feels that professor is intensely giving this topic to threaten me or to disturb me or to harass me. Whereas I was there, a student in Miami, Florida International University presented a seminar for 3 hours on this topic. Impact of wildfire on the economy, 3-hour seminar was presented. So likewise, the hard-working nature should be inculcated in our students. Now our students are very easygoing. Similarly, our professors. So nowadays we say that in the education field, the quality of education is dwindling, it is coming down. I am not generalizing this statement, but it is true. So what the teachers of earlier era and compare the teachers of today, we have become more materialistic, less of educationists, isn't it? So as a result, we have to inculcate a hard and dedicated efforts in our teachers. For example, in US, many of the professors will not come to the university. They sit at home and work. They work more than working in the institutions. So that kind of culture we have to develop. And for example, to get more funding for taking of research, very recently I read in the newspaper, one professor from Chennai got 120 crores of funding from United States, one sponsoring agency for conducting research in reverse osmosis. Can we imagine a professor in India getting 120 crores from any agency? If they, in the absence of such internationalization of collaborations, it is just impossible to get such kind of funding and continue his research. However potential he is, however intelligent he is, if he doesn't have the well-equipped laboratory and equipment, he may not be in a position to continue his research. So one advantage Indians have in internationalization of education is they have a very good English, the communication skill. Compared to either China or Japan, they find it difficult to communicate, whereas in India, whether a student or a teacher will be able to grasp and absorb the things in English. As a result, we have a better advantage in developing our competence so far as the communication skill and competence are concerned in the international education scenario. Another thing is exposure is most important, whether it is a student or a teacher. Instead of sitting within the institution, if he goes to other institutions, his knowledge horizon expands. Similarly, if he goes to other countries, his knowledge horizon expands. So my own example, I was in US, one of the professors, David Gray, took me to one of the pesticide residue testing laboratories in the United States of America, in Miami. So I saw that lab and I got all the literature. I came back to India from my training in environmental economics. I wrote a proposal to Government of India and got funded nearly 4 crore 20 lakhs, and I have established an art of the laboratory which is on par with UNESCO lab, which can give the parts pesticide residues parts per billion, which can satisfy European market standards and US standards. So this is the exposure which is most important. So if I were to be in India, I would not have dreamt of writing this proposal and got funded. So this is a kind of exposure which is most important for many of the potential teachers and the students. They have the potential but they lack the exposure. So exposure helps us through internalization of education. So also I got nearly 2 lakhs worth of books free of cost. In US, if you simply send your request as a tutor, they send you the books free of cost. You may not believe I will be able to get 2 lakhs rupees worth of books free of cost sitting in the computer and requesting for the publishers to send the very important books in the area of environment economics. So for India, I think internationalization is very, very essential, and the government of Karnataka is doing a lot of things in this area. Our Honorable Minister for Education, Sri Reddy Sir, and the Additional Chief Secretary, Sri Bharatlal Meena, he has taken a lot of interest in collaboration with foreign universities to expand our knowledge horizon, and we are going to have already they have established a separate cell in the higher education department for such collaborations, and in the days to come, there will be a win-win situation for India and many of the countries which are going to collaborate with Karnataka and India. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Hosamani. Very interesting fact that you shared. A professor at Chennai received 120 crores for research work. I'm sure that many of the academicians here